the hardest thing for me over the last several years with embracing my shadow has been recognizing there is no right and wrong in anything, which like brings me to tears even saying, because it's so hard to grasp and I'm still learning it every day as I unlearn what society has taught me. There is no right and wrong. There are experiences. What you do with those experiences lead into the next parts of your life and your growth or your expansion. Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. Adi Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Relationships Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And we're wrapping up gratitude.
Yes.
It's been quite a month. I hope you guys have really tuned in. I didn't even think about the fact that I was on point with this, but I wrote an email to our Ignited list today all about gratitude. So you guys will be getting this a few days after that email goes out.
Tis the season.
Tis the grateful season. Before we jump in, I just want to do our review of the week. So get ready, those of you who submitted one. Don't forget, if we read your review on air, you get a care package from us. So DM us, make sure that we know that you're the person, and we'll send you all this stuff.
Yeah, one of our winners, one of the people we read previously, she just got her package and she sent me a photo of your book and philosophy, and she's so excited to dive in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So this week's review is from Aliyah Yoga. And that's titled Waves of Gratitude. I've been listening to Ignited and following Sophie and Dr. Adi for a while now, and have learned so much from them: vulnerability, authenticity, and realness. I've gone back and listened to every episode and say wholeheartedly that there is value and incredible inspiration in every single last one. Thank you, Sophie, Adi, and your team for contributing for so many lives in a powerful and positive way, and for always keeping it 100% real. I especially love the 5 questions you ask all of the guests and am encouraged by their self-care practices. I suggest this podcast to all my friends and to anyone who has ever struggled with anything, aka everyone, no doubt about that. Even though Sophie and Adi don't know me personally, they've always responded to my DMs, and when listening to Ignite, I often feel like I have friends in my car or living room discussing real-life topics that are so important. I'm a huge fan and supporter of your works, and appreciate both of you and your beautiful family for living beautiful, authentic, real lives.
So sweet. That's such a nice review. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So touching. Seriously.
That's awesome.
And we feel the same way. You guys are family. When we had our Ignited in-person event, I honestly didn't know who would be there. I was like, I don't know who the Ignited community is, because I have my community on my Instagram and my blog, and Adi has his community. But who is our joint Ignited community? We only know you virtually, and you listen on your own. It's not really a conversation unless you take the time to write us an email or DM us or start a conversation. There's no way to really feel that. And so at the in-person Ignited Glow event, I was blown away by who was there. You guys really all felt like family.
Yeah.
You know us so intimately, and honestly, just sharing these kind of vulnerable things with you and you actually giving a shit, and it is huge. It just means that we're all connected and that we're on the same wavelength and the same vibration. And that's truly what it's all about. That is what community is being able to share vulnerably. And that meant when you came to this event, you showed up vulnerably and shared with us.
And that was so much to the point, right? When we started, it was like we wanted to have people in the room with us when we have these really amazing conversations with really amazing people. So the fact that it translates for you really makes all the work more than worth it, because that was the entire point. Yep. And Sophie has a quote for us, and then I think we're going to have a really pretty amazing discussion that you guys are going to love to wrap up this month.
Yeah, so I actually have 2 readings today, but we'll just start with this one first. It's from my favorite Moon deck. You can use the code Philosophy Moon to save 10% off the Moon deck. Our friend Rana, who we had on as a guest, co-created the Moon deck. And they're really beautiful cards, all about the moon, emotions. And this one specifically I picked was about gratitude. It says, gratitude. I live each moment with a presence of gratitude. The greatest prayer is thank you. Gratitude puts things into perspective and connects us to the present where we're engaged in a meaningful life. Infuse gratitude into everything you create and touch. Gratitude is an experience and an ongoing practice. Cultivate it daily with intention and teach yourself to be truly conscious of the treasures in your life. Share gratitude with as many people as possible and allow this to be a fundamental part of your lifestyle. The abundant material of daily life is your greatest guide, reminding you to allow the healing and prosperous roots of gratitude to run deep into all you birth. Return to thank you until it becomes an integrated, glowing part of your presence. So beautiful. And then I actually want to share this too, because I think it's so important to make it tangible. So always in the moon deck, after you pick the card and read about it, it then has a ritual. And this one says ritual gratitude inventory. Gratitude is one of the most direct ways to have a healthy and happy life. The key is consistency. Dedicate yourself to this 3-part ritual for the next 28 days consecutively and commit to a time of day that works for you. Choose a favorite piece of jewelry to be your gratitude charm. On day 1, hold this charm and infuse it with your deepest gratitudes. Let yourself be moved by the countless blessings in your life. Wear this charm throughout the ritual as a sweet reminder. A gratitude jar. Every day for 28 days, write 1 to 3 things you're grateful for and put it in a glass jar. Be specific and tap into these people, experiences, or qualities which have elevated your life. Place your jar where the sun and moon can shine light into your blessings. On the day after, day 29, empty your jar and read your notes with full presence. You may be surprised and touched by what you read. Continue to make gratitude a vital part of your daily life.
I love that. I use the 5-minute journal every morning, and I think focusing on the things you're grateful for helps just really realign the way you look at your day. I like doing it in the morning because it gets me thinking about those elements in my life, the things I'm already happy about and grateful for, because my brain naturally leans towards the things I have to do better on and fix. And so having a ritual for me where I get to focus on that just gets my brain into like a whole different gear. And if there's any of you listening right now who have a natural proclivity to be grateful, that's awesome. If you're more like me and you're always just looking at, oh, I should have done that better, or I could have performed more here, or that person didn't say what I wanted them to, or look at me the way I wanted it to, or whatever that is, if there's always kind of the critical voice coming in for you, having a gratitude list literally realigns the focus for your brain.
Yeah. And I think even for someone like I would consider myself a pretty positive, grateful person, and that I lean on the other side of the spectrum versus like the way you lean, but I still have to remind myself. And I think those of us that think, oh, I'm so positive and, that's my outlook. I mean, I definitely get down. I definitely have hard days. And even on the days that I feel like I'm in a positive place, just starting my day in that way, if I pick up my Book of Awakening or the Moon Deck or poetry that I love, and I just take the time to download the things that I'm grateful for. If I can have time to journal, oh my gosh, that's so helpful. But I don't always have that. So reading one passage or opening up poetry and just connecting to my heart and remembering, damn, my life is good. My life is great. And here are the ways that they are. And sometimes when I'm laying in bed and I can't sleep because I'm worrying about something, or my mind's just going and going, or I feel anxious about something, or I just feel super awake, I'll just count my blessings. Like literally start at 1 and just be like, this bed that I'm sleeping in, this warm blanket, this pillow, and then just go out from there. And I mean, it's endless.
I know in that email, one of the things that I wrote is a lot of times negative, quote unquote, I'm putting that in air quotes, kind of things will happen. And we just take it at face value that that's what they are. They're negative. Somebody didn't call you back. They don't care about you. You lost a job, a relationship ended, you got in a car crash. And for some of us, at least, it's so obvious and so easy to focus on that negative aspect or the elements of that occurrence that are negative that we literally forget, or the way I came up in this world is like, we don't understand that there are entirely different perspectives to take on the exact same thing. Like somebody just broke up with you. You're sad because a relationship ended and change is hard. But somebody who didn't want to be with you just told you they don't want to be with you.
What a gift.
That's an amazing gift that it happened now instead of 8 years down the line after you're married with 2 kids. Like, that's a huge gift.
Yeah.
Got in a car accident, you have insurance and you're actually fine, and you can take care of yourself for the next week or 2 until your car gets repaired. Like, there's always a positive angle to look at things, and it's not like the positive necessarily writes off the negative. It's not like it completely offsets it or negates it.
It's just also present.
Always.
They're always both present. There are shadows and darkness present with light always. It's the opposite side of the coin. It's the new moon versus the full moon. It's the nighttime versus the daytime. It's yin and yang. It's always both are present, and we need the shadows to appreciate the light.
Yeah.
And there is a gift in everything, and there's a reason that's bigger than all of us. And both Dee and I are not religious at all, but I'm definitely very much in the spiritual world, and I consider you to be too, even though it's different than the way I am. I think that there is always a gift in every seemingly what seems like a disaster, what seems like an awful circumstance. You can always find the light, and maybe not immediately, but soon after, you can see what it is. And oh, wow, like, thank goodness that small accident happened with my car, because if it wouldn't have, I may have been in that accident way up there where that bus hit that woman and she died. Like, that happens all the time, but you may not even have the awareness because you're so into your own bubble of it being about you and, oh, poor me. And I mean, truly, like, so many times in my own life, I am so self-absorbed in my own crap that I can't even open my eyes to what's right down the street.
It's so funny. I think I told this story on this podcast at some point, but one of my favorite clients came out here to do some personal work. And then she was like 2-3 days before she was supposed to leave, she started getting sad that she had to leave. And then her flight got canceled. But because her perspective was everything sucks, when her flight got canceled, she was like, you see, even the planes I'm supposed to go on.
Yeah, she probably created that.
And I go, wait, you wanted to stay longer.
Yeah.
The flight got canceled, so you have to stay longer. How's that not a gift? And I remember doing the work with her, and it was so beautiful actually to see her land into the fact that at least that's a possibility, that she actually got what she wanted, and it's not a bad thing, because
she asked for it. She literally asked for it.
Literally, she asked for it. But this is the practice. For those of you listening right now who are saying, well, that's easy for you guys to say. It's not. It's easier for Sophie maybe to say than for me, but it's an ongoing practice. And when you start establishing this practice in your own life, like anything else you practice, it just becomes easier.
Yeah.
And
I have to remind myself all the time to drop in. I have to remind myself to take the morning to, like, when I was away on my retreat, I wrote myself little love notes in my journal, and I was like, ways to drop in, do this daily. Because being on the retreat, I'm teaching how to do this daily. I don't even do it daily normally because my life gets in the way, but that's an excuse. Honestly, that's just an excuse. And there's no reason that I can't take 7 minutes to drop in. I can easily hand the baby to you. Boys are off at school. There's no reason that I can't carve it out. I just get caught up in life, and that life is always going to be there knocking at the door. Text, emails. There's always work to be done. There's always things to do. There's always distractions. I have to keep myself focused on. Anytime I feel anxious, it's because I haven't dropped in. And literally all I need to, I have certain things that I can do, and I can listen to certain music, certain chanting, thank you for this day. I can listen to, anything like that. And then it immediately takes me there, and then I can journal or read, and I'm there. And it's that simple. And whether I feel frazzled or just in the morning wanting to set the stage and set the tone for the day, it's all that's needed. And it can be 5 minutes, truly. Yeah. Especially when you get good at it and get practiced.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about the consistency for sure.
Everything's consistency. Yeah.
When we had Tamal and Victoria on the podcast, Tamal's one of those people, you know him way better than I do, but he's one of those people that
Earth angel.
As he's sitting and talking, you kind of get flooded with gratitude. I don't know if you guys listening to the podcast got that, but you definitely get it in the room with him. He's one of those people. There are some people that just radiate it. I think you do that for a lot of people. Like, there's just this ease and comfort, and you can just tell that he looks at almost everything around him
as a gift
and finds the gift in it and moves forward. And that is a beautiful thing. I'll tell you this. This is an analogy that I came up with for some of my clients in my addiction work around the shadow light idea, because one of the things that I found is, I don't know about shortcutting, but you can help this gratitude element grow in your life by surrounding yourself with more people like that. And the reason is this: if you literally take of the shadow analogy verbatim, in real life, light against an object creates a shadow. So imagine yourself just standing in the universe and there's no light. You're surrounded by shadow. You bring in one light element and all of a sudden this whole part of your world just got lit up. But then right behind you, where that light is obstructed by you, there's a shadow. Well, if you bring in more and more light points all the way around you, so you start getting lit up from all these different directions, it's like each one of them surrounds you with light from a different area in their own unique way. Like you might help itself when it comes to the kids and child raising and manifesting work. And then one of my other friends might bring that in when it comes to professional development and, helping me with what I'm focusing on right now in terms of achievement.
Or something else with ego or...
Yeah. And so each one of these people brings in light from different directions. And if you think about yourself standing there, the more areas of light you have around yourself, the more sources of light, the smaller the shadow gets. Until literally, if you're surrounded by light, the only place where there's shadow is literally the place where you're standing in. And that's what I call kind of like the ego, right? It's hard to get out of your own way. That's always the part that's going to be the hardest. But if you surround yourself with people that are bringing light to you, it helps brighten up your world and reduce the shadow.
Yeah. And cultivating a healthy relationship with all shades of your being is so important.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot before. Like, there's nothing wrong with your shadows. There's nothing wrong with your darkness, quote unquote. Dark doesn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
And that took a lot for me to learn, because I'm on the other side of the spectrum and it didn't feel natural. It didn't feel comfortable. But sometimes it's important to be uncomfortable so that you can push through it and get to know those sides of yourself. It's really important. And, if you think about like some of the greatest musicians or artists or healers, they work with shadows all the time. That's where they're most creative.
Yeah.
Like, really think about some of the most beautiful art or music or the most beautiful voices that you've ever heard or seen or touched. I mean, most of them work with their shadows mostly. That's when they...
No, absolutely. It's hard, right? I mean, from my experience and from a lot of the people that I know, it's hard because, yes, oftentimes they work from the shadow, but it's a real challenge sometimes for them to then find the light in their own world.
Sure.
Right? Like, it's almost like they have to cultivate sometimes that darkness.
Right.
In order to be more creative.
And then we get to benefit and we experience light from their work.
No doubt.
It's like a constant magician, magical element where you're playing with darkness to create light, and you're creating light for others, but you have to be in the darkness. And then you have to figure out how to balance that and come out with light after the darkness to balance all the darkness that you've been in. Like, it's a constant back and forth. And I think finding the somewhat, balance is a funny word. And I don't think there really is a balance in anything, but it's about constantly striving to find the balance.
Yeah, I like the description I've heard before where you might be in balance for a moment or a couple of minutes. You're always a little bit off to the right or to the left, and your job is to try to keep balancing.
Yeah, like standing on a teeter-totter or like a seesaw and like just playing with it. You're not standing still on the seesaw with both feet planted forever. Like, part of the fun is kind of like playing with your weight and playing with the balance, right? Yeah. And that, sometimes you go way outside of your comfort zone, you're in the darkness, and sometimes you're way outside of your comfort zone, you're in the light, depending on the type of person you are. And playing with those different energies is where it's at. That's what life's all about.
I like that analogy because when you're literally, if you're literally on a seesaw, most of the time they're really tiny movements, right? It's like just tiny little corrections, little muscles that are working. It's like you said in the beginning, be grateful for the freaking pillow.
Yeah.
Be grateful for an actual roof over your head.
Yeah.
Be grateful that you can listen to things like this to help inspire you, or listen to artists that bring you light.
Be grateful that you can hear.
Yeah.
Like, it's such basic stuff. Start at the beat. I can send you a list right now, if I don't even know you, through your iPhone of 50 things to be grateful for in this moment. Because I guarantee if you're sitting there with an iPhone that's connected to a Verizon or Sprint or whatever, you have a house too. You have a roof over your head, you have a bed, you have a pillow. So I can list 50 things right now that you should be grateful for, that you can be grateful for if you tap into it. And then you can take the list from there and add another 50 easily.
Yeah.
For personal relationships, for experiences, good and bad, things that have helped you grow, the clothes on your body, like all of it. It's all equally incredible. Running water, running warm water. Most of the planet doesn't have that at their fingertips. Like, I think everyone needs to travel and go outside of their comfort zones and go to third world countries. And, you know, like one of our best friends, Jordan, just stayed with us for a week, and he just got back from a year-long trip in his van to South America.
It's a nice van, y'all. He built it out pretty amazingly, but a year and a half, actually, I think he spent in that van.
So 15 months, as long as like Noah was born, basically. He came to visit us June or July of last summer. Noah was a month old, and she was like in a basket. I went and sat in his van with him and his dog, Clover, and he was getting ready to leave, and he left from LA, went all through Mexico, took him several months to get through Mexico, and then went through South America all the way to Argentina, and then flew back. But like, that is life. That is living. And then I was in a class this morning and at F45, and she was like, oh, is your friend coming back? And I was like, oh, Jordan, I don't know. Like, we'll see. He's like kind of living in his van right now. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we just went on this trip for a year, and was in his van, just him and his dog exploring. They drove down to South America. She's like, I haven't even left. She's like, my junior year, when everyone traveled abroad, I came to LA and did an internship. I haven't even seen the world. I was like, girl, get a passport and book a flight now.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, it's really effing hard when you have a husband or a wife and a life and a mortgage and children. It gets harder and harder. It's not impossible, but it gets harder and harder. So if you can get away and book a ticket right now, book it. Take the adventure. See the world, travel with a backpack lightly, so you can be on your feet and you can be like, oh, I'm done here. I got what I needed.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a train there.
It doesn't have to be super expensive.
Not at all.
When I did this, I think when you and I met, staying in hostels, book the cheapest ticket you can get.
Train tickets are super affordable.
Yeah, that's such a good point. You meet people that you've never met before. I actually like hostels better than hotels for that reason, because you actually meet people. It's more
social. Yeah, it's less isolating if you stay in a hostel, and hostels are so affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you have to do that at some point in your life. It just teaches you so much. Like the amount of travel I did with my dad when he would go and do documentaries in different parts of the world, and we would stay in like the crappiest places because he just doesn't care, and like live like the locals and see real poverty. Like, you don't know what poverty is until you've experienced third world countries, and like literally running water is an issue. Like, are they going to eat a full meal that day? Like 6, 7 children to a family in one teeny tiny 1 bedroom. Like serious suffering and challenges. And some of them are super happy, you know? It's not to say they're not happy. It's just to say that we are so beyond privileged.
It's just a perspective,
And it's perspective, and being able to really witness it and really feel it in your bones. And I mean, to the point where, you know, when I've come back from even volunteering for half a day, I'm crying about everything. And it's perspective. It's because you experience one side, and then you experience your reality, and you're like, oh, I've got it really, really, really good in all these ways.
Yeah, it definitely changes your perspective from that time where you're like trying to load a video on your Safari on your iPhone, and you're like, God damn it, it's taking 35 seconds to load, and you're like just mad at the world. Because
our Sayulita video, were you there for this? She said, today we had a meeting for next year's Nourish Your Soul yoga retreat. Almost sold out. And she said, the person that's leading it, Erica, putting it all together, all the logistics. I said, look, do you know when we're getting the video that we created there? And she said, yeah, the thing is about Sayulita is that the Wi-Fi is so bad that he has to leave and go to Puerto Vallarta to upload the video to send to us. Because
oh my God.
he can't, this is his job.
I guess this is why you had to call me from Netflix. From the room.
I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And she's like, I don't think it's a hotel issue, honey. I think it's a Sayulita. The entire city it doesn't have that kind of Wi-Fi. Like just the fact that you have fast running Wi-Fi, like you said, just all of it. It's like, start small and work your way out, and you'll realize how grateful you should be and are.
That's a magic, right? Because look, you all can pretend to be, I'll be grateful when I get my $250,000 a year promotion, or I'll be grateful when I win the lottery.
I'll be happy when.
I'll be happy when, like, stop that way of thinking immediately, like right now, and make a list of 3 things that are around you in this moment that you're incredibly grateful for. Because if you start waiting for the time when things are good enough that you can be grateful, you're going to be waiting till you die.
Yeah.
There's no magical time when the switch goes on and all of a sudden, it's almost like when people tell us, well, I'm not ready to have kids. Well, if you want kids, you're ready to have kids.
Yeah.
Like we had less money than any other time when we had Kai. It wasn't an issue of having a whole bunch of money.
You can create problems for anything and blockages for anything. I can help you. If you want to stop yourself, I can help you decide. But realistically, I'm the worst influence when it comes to marriage, when it comes to children, when it comes to having a full life. That's the full range of everything, because I will support, like if someone's like, I think I want to have kids, I'm already like in there with them supporting.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Kai lived in the dining room.
Yeah.
That was his bedroom.
Yeah, you don't need much for
the
a baby.
first year.
Why does a baby need more space than that?
He couldn't move.
Yeah. I want to read something. This is from, I know you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, have heard me read about the Book of Awakening. So basically it's by Mark Nepo or Nepo. I'm not really sure. He has every single day a different reading and then some meditation. And this one is all about gratitude. So I want to read it to you. It says, the kinship of gratitude. When you make the two one, when you make the inner as outer and the outer as inner, then shall you enter the kingdom. Jesus said that. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but
Jesus.
The goal of all experience is to remove whatever might keep us from being whole. The things we learn through love and pain reduce our walls and bring our inner and outer life together. And all the while, the friction of being alive erodes whatever impediments remain. But the simplest and deepest way to make who we are at one with the world is through the kinship of gratitude. Nothing brings the worlds of spirit and earth together more quickly. To be grateful means giving thanks for more than just the things we want, but also the things that surmount our pride and stubbornness. Sometimes the things I've wanted and worked for, Sometimes the things I've wanted and worked for, if I actually received them, would have crushed me. Sometimes just giving thanks for the mystery of it all brings everything and everyone closer, the way suction pulls streams of water together. So take a chance and openly give thanks, even if you're not sure what for, and feel the plenitude of all that is living brush up against your heart.
Well, that just made it easier to be grateful. Just be grateful even for the things you don't understand.
Yeah, be grateful for the mystery. Like one of my best friends right now is single, and when she's in a good place, she says, I'm just staying open to possibility. I'm just staying thankful for what's to come. And that's really what it's about. And he then has his little meditation prompts. It says, sit quietly and meditate on what keeps you from knowing yourself. Breathe deeply and lower your walls with an offering of gratitude that is not attached to any one thing. Now inhale with gratitude and exhale what remains in the way. Repeat this several times throughout your day. And I love that. It says grateful means giving thanks for more than just the things we want, but also the things that surmount our pride and stubbornness. I love that. Get out of our own ways,
Yeah, again, for me, I think that side of things has been a challenge. I'm so much more about concrete.
Absolutely.
And again, that's just my thing. It's always like that, right?
And
Even at the meeting we had today.
That's the point that's exactly a way of putting it into words, the difference between you and I. I have this deep understanding within my body that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's just going to be okay.
I'm getting a shallow to medium understanding of that, right? Over the last 10, 15 years, the knowledge or the trust in that has grown for sure. But I'm definitely way more concrete.
Yeah. For you, taking out a gratitude journal and writing down 3 tangible things that you're grateful for works for you.
Yeah.
For me, I'm bored of that. I'm I want free flow. I want to just talk about abstract things, magical things, what's to come, what's not to come. and that it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way. It's what works for you. For me, that feels way too isolating, way too specific. I can't do that because that's not the kind of person I am. I need more like fluidity. You need structure.
100%.
So you start every day, you get up at the exact same time, you do the exact same prompts, and that works for you and your brain. And that is so important to figure out what works for you. And that's why in wellness, we keep offering you on this podcast a bazillion different ways, a bazillion different angles of how to get the same results: joy, happiness, balance, feeling good in your heart, in your body, in your spirit. Lots of different ways. If you listen to all these 110 episodes that we've created, it's not about doing it one way. The reason we ask the same 5 questions to every single guest is because there's not just one way to do things.
Totally.
There's a bazillion. So just try them all and then figure out what works for you. Oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't feel aligned. Cool. This does.
Yeah. And that's so nice to actually, this is another thing that I hope you've gotten over the, 2 years or something, is trust your intuition. Just because one guru or one spiritual leader or one amazing person you've met does it a certain way does not mean it's going to work for you exactly the way that it did for them. The goal is not the practice. The practice is the way to the goal. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for contentment, happiness, joy in your world, do the thing and then see if it brings you joy. And if it does, now again, I'm not saying try it once and if it doesn't immediately elate you, then stop it. But listen to yourself, right? Listen to the impact that it has on you. And it should be leading you in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's just such medicine in the shadow. And unless you really embrace it, you won't even know what I'm talking about. Like, you have to sink in and let yourself feel the shadow, because the medicine it provides is the gateway to intuition. You don't get to intuition unless you go to every single part of every spectrum of the light, of the shadow. You have to experience the full spectrum. That's the only way to cultivate and develop a relationship with your intuition.
Which means you can't run away from your feelings and you can't run away from your thoughts, because if you try to numb them out and run away from them and turn from them, then you're blocking part of your intuition, and then you're not listening to yourself. Right.
You lose that conversation. You
get detached.
You get detached from your intuition. Yeah, especially when you numb out. Yeah. Yeah, I feel really grateful that I don't really know any ways that I numb out. Like, I think that I consciously let go, like watching a TV show. When I'm just tapped out because I give my all day long, at the end of the day, I want to numb out in the way that it's like, I want to decompress. I want to let go. I want to be quiet. I want to not have to speak or have an adult conversation. I just want to laugh or just go to a different dimension. To me, it's a very conscious choice. I'm not sitting and watching Netflix for hours. Like, it's like, okay, let's watch a show or two and just let go. And I think that there's medicine in that. And I think the beauty of all of this, like, is truly calling it medicine. And if you flip that word, does it make sense or does it sound ridiculous? Because it might sound ridiculous. And if it sounds ridiculous, then it's probably not in alignment if it doesn't feel like medicine. You know, like, even like the way, like, drug use, like, there is medicine in sometimes doing drugs. For me, doing Molly once in a while, which we'll talk about more in the December Going Deep episode, has been medicine for me, my spirit, my soul, my sexuality, my sensuality, and our healing. Not always, not right now. If I did it right this second on a Monday while I have kids, like, disaster, opposite, hell. But doing it alone in a concentrated way with my partner in a trusting, beautiful space and working through issues and problems, it is medicine. It is growth. There is medicine in shadows. If you go deep into that work and have a shamanistic experience, or go deep and have a 2-hour session with your therapist and really unravel some trauma that you've been through. Yeah, it's darkness. Yeah, it's shadowy. Yeah, it's dirty, messy, yucky, sticky, uncomfortable, but there's medicine in it. And you can learn and grow so much from that experience on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait we're going to do a whole sexuality intimacy. December, it's going to be amazing. Sophie just teased it for you guys.
Yeah, we're so all of December, this is the last episode of November. We're going to do all of December. We're going to do sexuality, sensuality, connection in that way, and bring on some really dope guests. And for the final, going deep, which we do every single month, we're going to talk about some things you guys have asked us about. We've like alluded to certain things in our relationship, and we want to go deeper and expand on that. So we're very excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, like the biggest, hardest thing for me, I don't know about you guys listening, but the hardest thing for me over the last several years with embracing my shadow has been recognizing there is no right and wrong in anything. Which like brings me to tears even saying, because it's so hard to grasp and I'm still learning it every day as I unlearn what society has taught me. There is no right and wrong. There are experiences. What you do with those experiences lead into the next parts of your life and your growth or your expansion or your contraction or your subtraction. How do you expand or grow? How do you contract? That's up to you. The lessons you learn, if you go through a traumatic experience or a quote bad experience, and then you come out of it and you close up and you decide that you're never going to allow that type of person in ever again for the rest of your life, that's on you. You can do that. Plenty of people do that. They decide never to go outside again. They decide never to have intimate relationships again, never be with a man again. I'll make all men wrong, make all women wrong, whatever it is, fill in the blank. I'm not going to have children because I was so fucked up by my parents. There's just so many people we hear like this where they go through that sort of experience. There is no bad. There is no good. It's what you take from that experience, the growth that you implement.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're learning that every day. That's our goal. Our goal here on this podcast is to bring you more and more ways to open up to different ways of looking at things so you can apply them in your own life.
The gray area.
The gray that is life.
Yep.
Okay. So we're done for gratitude.
Yep.
You are hopefully celebrating your Thanksgiving here. And we cannot wait to come in next month for you. Remember, guys, take a screenshot of this, share everything that resonated with you for us, please, and leave a review because you might be able to get one of our...
and share with a friend. And also, since you are listening to this and you're ahead of time, ahead of schedule, if there's any specific questions about intimacy, sexuality, sensuality for December you want us to hit, we will work those questions in with our guests. So whether it goes week 1, 2, 3, or 4, we will work your questions in if you get them to us. So DM us at ignited.me on Instagram or send us an email. And we will integrate those questions into the recordings and into the interviews.
Absolutely.
We so appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much for
Happy
tuning
holidays.
in. See you next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.